Dave knows how.
Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to go over an issue a lot of people have when it comes time to hook up their hydraulic lines for their front grapple or on their tractor, or a 4-in-1 bucket or something like that. Most of the time it's a grapple, and the lines just won't connect. It's hard to get them to go in, and the suggestion by 99% of the people most of the time is to crack the line, which means take a wrench and unscrew the line and relieve the pressure. And I'm just totally against doing it that way. So today I'm going to go over a couple of steps that you can take to ensure that your grapple hydraulic lines connect up fairly easily. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to turn the ignition switch to the on position. The dash lights are on, but we're not going to start the tractor. At that point, we're going to cycle through our third function valve by pressing the button that would generally open the grapple. We're going to press the button, and then we're going to press the button in the opposite direction to close the grapple. And what this is doing is it is activating the solenoid that's on the third function valve. It's opening it up, and it's relieving any pressure that may be built up in the system from the tractor station down to where we would hook the grapple up. Make sure you turn your ignition back off, and let's go down here and look at the business end of this grapple. So down here at the business end of the grapple, I've just attached the grapple to the skid steer quick connect on the front end of this Kubota tractor. And we've got it kind of tilted back, and the lid is partially open, and due to gravity, the lid is trying to close. And when the lid's trying to close, it's trying to retract or extend this hydraulic cylinder. And when it's trying to do that, it's applying hydraulic pressure to at least one of these hydraulic lines. So that's going to cause that hydraulic line to be difficult, if not impossible, to hook up. Now, when it's in this position, you may find that one of those two lines will go ahead and hook up. And if it will, go ahead and hook up that line that will hook up. And then we'll start the tractor and we'll rotate this around the other way. So now that we've got it rotated around the other way, the lid on the grapple is not trying to close any longer. So the pressure that it was putting on that specific line is no longer there. Now the grapple is putting pressure on the other line because the lid's trying to open, so it's trying to push this cylinder in. And when it's trying to push this cylinder in, it's applying pressure to this other line. So at that point, that line is already hooked up, hopefully, because we was able to hook that one up. Now the pressure's off the other line, we can go ahead and hook that up. Now this doesn't always play out to be true 100% of the time. Sometimes if you have these grapples sitting out in the sun and the sun's heating the lines up, heating the grapple up, the pressures can really build up in this system and create a problem where you just can't hook it up. Most people like to tell you to crack the line. They want to take a wrench and unscrew this fitting and drain some of the hydraulic fluid off, relieve the pressure, then reinstall it and put it back on. In my opinion, that's really not a bright idea. A lot of these fittings are national pipe thread fittings, so they're tapered. They require a sealant to keep them sealed. Putting them on and taking them off, every time you do that, you're stretching those threads and you can create a leak. Some of the fittings are O-ring style fittings, and putting fittings on and putting fittings off can damage O-rings and cause leaks. It's just not a practical, good solution to crack these. What I like to do instead is I keep a piece of brass in my toolbox. It's about 3/8 in diameter and about 4 inches long. And it will actually fit right down inside of this female connector. I'll wrap a rag around here and then I'll take a hammer or some object and strike the end of that and push this little plunger down inside of here to relieve the pressure. Now, I've talked about this in several other videos, but it is definitely worth mentioning again. So I relieve the pressure like that on this fitting, and then I should be able to plug it in, so long as I've gone through the procedure up at the tractor station with cycling the third function valve with the tractor off, but the key ignition on. You have to have that key ignition on in order to supply electrical power to the controller. That's very important. So once we've relieved the pressure off of this female connector, we can go ahead and connect this back up. And we can just take a look at the male connector. And we can see that it has a little plunger on the end as well. And we can take and bump this on a piece of metal, preferably something soft, either brass or aluminum or copper. Those are all soft metals. Generally, these fittings are made out of stainless steel. And stainless steel is a relatively soft metal as well. So, you know, you could use a piece of stainless to bump the end of this thing. You don't want to booger up the sides of this. The plunger right here, you know, you want to use something kind of soft. You could use a nylon hammer, a dead blow hammer or something like that, and just bump it. And you may have to do that 3 or 4 times to relieve enough pressure out of it to actually get it to fit on. Let's go ahead and hook this one back up. Now you notice that I've got my grapple upside down. The lid is trying to open, but yet I was still able to hook up, connect, disconnect, plug back in with no problem. So why is it that I'm able to do it when it's in this position and not many other people can? Well, I've installed a device on here that's called a double piloted locking valve. And I've talked about this locking valve in other videos previously, but it's definitely worth mentioning again. So what this locking valve does, well, what I installed this on here to do was to maintain pressure on the lead of the grapple. So if I clamp down on a lot of brush that I was picking up over here, and I needed to travel to a dump trailer or to another place to pile it up to burn it that was way over there, chances are with these hydraulics, it's going to leak down. The lead's going to get loose, especially with the bouncing of the tractor. traveling the distance, and items are going to fall out as you're going along. That means you got to stop and pick those items back up, and it's just a pain. So I installed this with the notion that it was going to help maintain pressure and keep this thing clamped down securely. What I found out later after installing it was that it made these lines easier to hook up once this device was installed on the grapple itself. Once I installed it on the grapple itself, it made these lines really easy to install, but not all the time. 99.9% of the time they were easy to install. But if this thing sat out in the sun and these lines got heated up, this device no longer isolated the pressure. Well, it isolated the pressure in the grapple, but there was additional pressure built up in the line itself from the heating of the sun. And at that point, I have to resort to a piece of brass, copper, aluminum, or something like that to stick down in there and give it a bump. Make sure you wrap it with a rag, because you don't want hydraulic fluid shooting out and going in your eyes. You don't want it injecting into your skin. Those are things that you just don't want to happen. So make sure you wrap a rag around there to keep that from happening. Since I installed this, Neil Messick has made a video about the damages that you can do to your hydraulic system of your tractor when using a grapple too aggressively, I guess would be a good word. If you haven't seen that video and you have a grapple, a 4-in-1 bucket, or planning to get one in the future, you need to seriously go watch that video. It is important stuff. And I'm telling you, Neil does a fantastic job with his videos. He researches, he backs up his claims with facts, and he don't mind spending the money for the test equipment to do the testing that needs to be done to properly verify or debunk some of the mystery of this. And I applaud him for doing that. You need to go watch that video. I'm going to put a link to it at the end of this video so you can go see it if you haven't seen it. After seeing Neil's video, I've discovered that this device will protect my tractor from that damage that could be caused by this grapple if used a little too aggressively. And you really don't have to use it that aggressively. Merely putting this thing down on the ground with the lid not fully open and raking back with it can put a lot of pressure back onto the hydraulic system. And the hydraulic system of these tractors is not designed for those high amounts of hydraulic pressure. So again, that's an important video to watch. This addition on my tractor, I bought this valve on sale for $99. I was just looking at the ticket the other day. I can't remember the name of the company that I got it from, but I'm going to locate that and I'll put the name up in this video, and I will try to put a link to this valve in the description of this video. It's not an affiliate link, it's just a link where I bought it. Go over there and check it out if you're interested in it. The guy over there that owns that place, just a wonderful person, and they can help you with a lot of different things other than that. So I bought that for $99. I had a set of custom hoses that aren't that long and for what you get, the hoses, in my opinion, were more expensive than the valve itself. I can't remember exactly what I spent on the hoses, but I want to say that it was under $100. I can safely say it was definitely under $100. It was probably under $50, but I can't remember exactly. So, but under $100 for sure. And it mounts on. It looks good. It's a clean install. We'll put some pictures up of what this install looks like so that you can see, you know, the valve here and the hoses and how it's laid out on there. So anyway, it's definitely worthwhile looking into. I think we've pretty much covered everything that we can cover about you know, problems that you can have hooking up these hydraulic lines. If you have any additional questions, or if you have a suggestion of another way that it can be done, leave it in the comment underneath this video so other people that come along that read the comments can get the benefit of your knowledge as well as the benefit of the video itself. Anyhow, I guess that's about it for this video. I appreciate you guys stopping and watching. And this video was sparked by one of my subscribers who had a question, a concern about this. And he was having some issues getting his grapple hooked up. And he felt like it could be cured easily by how he stores his grapple. And that's really not so much the case how you store your grapple. Well, I mean, other than storing it in the shade so it's not subjected to sunlight, that would definitely help. But once the grapple is connected on here, you can rotate this thing around in any position. In fact, if you don't have one of these valves on there to prevent the lead from creating back pressure, trying to extend down or go up, you can rotate this thing around to the point that the lead is not trying to close or open. So let's try and do that. So probably about right here, maybe, I don't know. The lid is probably not trying to close. It's not trying to open. It's just kind of balanced right here. And a lot of times if you put it in this position, you can hook the lines up because it relieves that pressure off of there. So, you know, it was an extreme point for me to roll it all the way down to create pressure. You don't have to roll it all the way down to create pressure. If you've got it a little bit past, you know, the center of gravity, it's going to try to close or open, and it's going to create pressure. So finding that sweet spot can help. It's just something I want to throw out there. Anyhow, I've added to and rambled on with this video long enough. I want to thank you again for watching and stopping by the channel. And I also want to thank you for all the love and support that I've gotten from folks all around the world in the YouTube community. It's just really overwhelming. And I tell you, it's really deeply touched me. It's helped me. And I've got nothing but love and respect for all you guys and gals, and I appreciate immensely you guys. Just your support and your love is just leaves me speechless. And quite honestly, that's a rarity because I've never been one that was lacking for words. Anyhow, that's it for this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.